first episode of the new web series with the producer. On my left hand side I've got
Jack Hedex,
myself TJ, and on the right no other than special guest
Jim Heist.
And to get this guy on board it took a long time, but we're finally here. Welcome.
All good.
All good?
All good.
So excited.
We did it.
And when did you start producing then?
Started producing sort of around 1998.
Wow.
Like on a lot of hardware. There wasn't really any way to... I was using Atari ST, which is a really old school computer basically, for those that don't know.
There's some old school.
A lot of people probably weren't even born then.
No, I'm 97, so I'm just like,
What was that?
whoa.
98?
1998, yeah.
I was not long out of the
Out of the womb.
womb.
So, over 20 years experience, we'll say. Definitely a legend in the game. For myself, I come into Jump Up originally when I first heard of Heist, and it was like the arcade EP, the Verdict, them kind of tunes, and even now I hear those sounds and I'm just like, boom. Tell us about how you kind of come about Low Down Deep and the arcade EP in particular.
Honestly, it was like I'd done a single for Low Down Deep and went really well, and the next thing naturally was just to go with a bigger project and create you know, some stuff for the label just catered in my style, and yeah, it worked really well. The arcade EP I think had 5 tracks on it. You had
a Monster on there, I believe. That for me, that was probably the best tune because it kind of showcased your sound, that glitchy kind of samples, the game stuff. Like I say, we talked about the sample pack earlier, which you guys will hear about. It's crazy. But the stuff, the little game sounds that you've used, and kind of, I'd say you kind of give the impression that you was a gamer back in the day, maybe. And even now, even to this day.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what I was. I mean, before music really came along and gave me my calling, shall we say, it was all about games, and I had the Nintendo and the Sega, you know, because I just loved them that much, and I wanted to be a computer game designer. That's, you know, when you're a kid, you don't always necessarily know what you want, and you haven't always necessarily encountered everything yet. So I think, early on, I would say that computer games are a massive influence, and still are to this day.
Yeah, it shows through your music. You're a games fan.
Yeah, I like games.
We
man.
used to play Call of Duty quite a bit, actually. Truth be known, little fact there.
Man, I used to Call of Duty. Bro.
He used to.
Literally,
Xbox
SAS.
Is that him? Is that you two?
I don't even know, man. Like, I think with Xbox is like, it used to be my. I'm just gonna be honest, my life.
Because we used to play.
I wanted it to be some MLG
Who was it?
player. I'm not even gonna lie.
It was Bass Stripper we used to play, didn't it? Me, you and Bass Stripper.
Yeah, we used to play with
Infected Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah,
but that was Modern Warfare 3. But like, what games did you two play together?
We was playing COD.
Cool.
We played that new one, but we didn't really like. Nah, we played Call of Duty.
Modern Warfare. We were playing Modern Warfare.
We were playing like
Remastered,
right? Yeah, because
yeah.
COD 4 is the greatest game alive
Ever.
So
it was the reason I got back into video
Modern
games.
Warfare 2 over COD 4.
No! But I don't know. We played a lot of that.
Yeah.
I love that game to pieces, man. I've done a lot.
Call of Duty is a good franchise, and they're bringing out the new one soon. If we had to box it off, what would be your favourite game? Like, it's hard. It is hard to say.
Right,
but
played
what
a
would
lot
be?
of games.
I know you're.
Yeah,
what's your favourite game?
I've got to say, like, out of everything,
Yeah.
I would say Fallout is probably one of the games that I really got sucked into.
I never got
like,
into Fallout.
No, I can't play campaign.
Old school wise, we're talking probably New Zealand Story or Ghouls and Ghosts or Alien vs Predator, something like that.
Alien vs Predator.
So, in fact, they were all Capcom games, I think, apart from New Zealand Story was Taito, but yeah, very all about the inspirational stuff. I mean,
Yeah, you've been doing the tuition and
teach
stuff.
tuition, and I've got hundreds of people doing it.
That,
Yeah, what's going on with the
Tell us
tuition,
more
man?
about that, please.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
it's going really good. I reckon I've actually probably got about 120 people on rotation at the moment.
That's
So-
wicked, mate.
And
Explosion,
wicked,
explosion,
man.
explosion.
to drop a couple of names of people who seem to be shining the most at the moment. You've got Jeopardize.
Yeah.
Did
got
you
Ben.
teach Jeopardize?
Yeah, you got Ben Snow.
Jeopardize is sick.
So what's the focal point of the lessons? Like when someone comes
Harry
to
Black,
Heist.
can't forget my boy Harry. He's doing really well.
He's sick.
And then you've got Sidewall. Was it Side Fusion? I think his name is, and many others that are evading me at the moment. But a lot of people coming through and just gaining strength from doing this stuff with me, which is the whole idea.
And going back to what Jack said, like what was kind of the main call to the lessons for you? What was the...
Yeah, why are you doing that? Like, why are you
honestly,
tutoring people?
Those people that don't know, I was engineer for Goldie for 8 years, and when my son was when my son came about, Goldie at the same time was emigrating to Thailand, so there was no way I was going to be able to go over there to start working with him in Thailand for sort of 2 months to be away from my newborn. It was just not ideal. So really, the time came for Goldie and me to part amicably, and we're still very, we're like family.
Yeah,
we call each other, we laugh all the time.
He's done a lot for the scene.
Have a good laugh.
Yeah,
big shout out to Goldie. And basically, when that era sort of came to an end, I actually decided, well, Goldie has almost trained me to become the guy to help people like him, because I was helping him when I was engineering. I was helping get the idea from Goldie's mind into reality, and basically what happened with that with me was like, well, I've worked with one of the most influential characters in the music, in our music scene. Goldie was one of the sort of originators, and if I can work with him under that sort of pressure with that type of level, then I can help people who have no idea how to produce. I can help people who are of an intermediate stage, and I can help people who are looking for specifics. So I thought, well, why not? And it took a long time to get the algorithm right and to be able to do it all online and make sure the quality was there, and also build a client base. I was lucky that I had the credentials of working with G, and also my years of experience of being producer in the scene. So it all kind of fitted into place.
Would you say the timing was the right time?
It was just the right time. It was like, all that engineering time had prepped me to then go to this next step.
Yeah.
I just can't put it down to anything but just that timing.
And I think it's a weird thing, because I think the feeling you get from teaching, especially people of a younger generation, you can't get that feeling from a lot of places. You feel so good, especially when they've gone and done something and they've come back to you, and the finished product is absolutely wicked. For example, a producer for you coming back with a tune and saying to you, and you're like, wow, that's actually a good tune.
Do you know what?
That feeling is so good.
When I can actually give the good feedback, it is amazing, because obviously I have to say what I think when we're reviewing, and that is a big part of the tuition, is reviewing and seeing what they've done since the last time I see them. And when I do see them, like Ben Snow, I'll use him as an example, comes to me and I'm just like, dude, I'm so pleased to be able to tell you I love your progression. I feel the music is much better than last time. It's a great feeling, and obviously it's a byproduct of me just doing what I'm doing, teaching. It's that result, that end result of being able to be honest and just be like, yes, this is working. It's great. And it's not everybody. Sometimes I'm there and I'm like, look, dude, the drums aren't good enough. I've showed you what to do. Let's go and fix it now. Let's go over it again.
I think that's kind of necessary. Though.
Honesty, man. We lack it, bro. We lack it in the scene.
I think as well. I think when someone's coming to you and the tune's not good enough, if you tell them it's not good enough, they can improve. And I think so. Anyway, moving on from that, when you're helping people with going forward and the improvements into their tracks, what is the kind of, how are you doing that? Are you saying, you need to come back, or you need to take on this advice, or what's the route that you're taking to kind of help people in the way of growing?
Well, most of the time when I start teaching somebody, it's about getting down a plan of what they want to do. That's very important, and I have to write that down. And it's what I basically call an assessment, and I go over a load of different questions I've got, and it helps me formulate a plan as to how to help each individual.
So it's like tailor-made.
It's tailor-made, It's very sort of, different to just going into a classroom and someone talking to 6 people and just sort of it's steered by the individual. It's a bit like what you're doing with the production packs, it's individual by the producer. This is individual by the client and by what their needs are. Like I say, I saw a guy last week called Matt, never produced in his life, bought Cubase on my recommendation. He's now, I know he's tapping away now making tunes. The other guys I see, Jeopardize, for instance, far more advanced, releasing tunes left, right and centre at the moment. It's just had something out Low Down Deep, got something on Sweet Tooth, got something on our label. And there is clear progression there, and he is mainly, he's definitely at a point where he's progressed to the point that he probably doesn't need to see me anymore.
No, I understand.
But he's looking to better it even more and see if he can get anything else, which, some people have that drive and some people just don't,
Very true. The truth always comes out. Always comes out.
Producer wise though, like when you're doing the tuition, what do you feel like you bring to the table? What, like, if someone comes to you and said, "Oh, what's your strong point?" What are you saying? What's that thing that you know that you can sit there and do for them?
Surprise them.
Yeah.
Most of the time. It's like Massive. Take Massive. Everybody knows about Massive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But until you sit with someone that's had Massive since before there was Massive, right, and was on soft sound synthesizer before Massive, and has been on it the whole time, I can show you things that I can guarantee you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably other people who of my era that could probably do similar things on maybe other synthesizers.
Yeah.
You know, it's just about having that literally no stone left unturned attitude, and sometimes it's not easy to turn the stone because you don't quite know what you've got to
Where
do
you're gonna go,
or what that parameter does or why it's there, and it could be quite a game-changing thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the FM FM mod. I say it's FM mod. It's actually called Modos in Massive, and that is the way into FM synthesis.
Different thing.
That's how you get into FM synthesis through Massive, because there's no other way to do FM. We're not going to go into that, but
tune in next week.
Search it on YouTube. Or that I had an album that people could go and play in the dance. You might not feel all the tunes, but they would go down in the dance if people were there to appreciate them.
It.
So, yeah.
How long's the album taken, man?
It took the best part of 2 years to complete. And it got
from like first initial project, or
first
kind
track.
of just like, this is dragged on, or what?
Yeah, no, it was a long slog, because in between doing the album, I moved house, built this studio, had to get used to the studio, and also make the sound of the to the police.
Sorry, someone was calling me, and then it just went emergency call activated. So, yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, back to the thing. Icon. Yeah.
But,
sorry.
Yeah, it was tricky at the end to get it finished, because I think we were talking about earlier, tunes were getting older, and as time was going on, I wasn't getting it finished due to the studio being finished and stuff like that. But I managed to just cram it all in and get it to all sound like it was one album, and not half made in one studio and half made in another. Yeah, and that was tricky. But very happy with it. There's hidden tracks on there which we spoke about, and they really are.
You should look out for them. They're fucking heavy.
They really do cleanse. In fact, Goldie said the other day he listened to the whole album, not into Jump Up at all, Goldie, but he respected how well it was produced,
it was
how it
really
sounded
good
like a
produced.
good body of work, and
Really
the skits in between he particularly loved, because nobody really does that.
Listens to all of
especially a Jump Up producer with a mellow, daydreamy kind of vibe for a minute, and then back into a Jump Up tune.
Yeah.
The demographic of it really spun a few people out, but I believed in it, and I still do believe in it. When you actually listen to start to finish, the skits actually act like palate cleansers, in the sense that you've got two banging Jump Up tunes, but in between that there's a minute of something that isn't that.
But why is that? Why are they on there?
Just like I say, to give it a little bit of a peak and trough, in the sense that you've got something up here which is the Jump Up tune or the D&B tune, and then you've got just this bit of music that
transition.
That it's almost like a transition that's just taking you away from that for a minute, and then you're back up again.
Yeah, well, it's like I don't know, but like, so one of the most popular tunes is probably Fathom Scob, and like that intro is playful. It's quite a playful intro, and like the sounds in that with the drop is the
Analog.
Contrast is quite
Analog
crazy
stuff. Yeah, that was an analog sort of, and honestly, completely influenced by Dillinger. Big up Carl Dillinger. You know, his flavour for back in the day, and the way that he used to introduce sounds, that still rings in me today. And that tune was definitely influenced by him and what he used to do.
That tune is probably one of the best promoted tunes over the last couple of years.
That's probably the biggest one off the album. I think. Has that got the most DJ support as well?
I'd say so.
I think Logo played at Rampage last year. I think.
Yeah.
And since then, like every relevant set I would say I've heard, it's been in every set, like 100%.
I think one of the things about the album is cheek. One word I would describe it as is cheeky, because every track has a cheeky element in the riff. Nearly all of them have that. Even Limpets, with its long tones, has still got a little bit of. Do you know what I mean? It's just got that little bit of bring a smile to your face.
Yeah, no,
kind
it's
of
like
vibe.
a little. I think your tunes have always had that though.
For the album, it had to have a lot of cheekiness about it, because that's the high sound.
I think you come across as cheeky, but your music is it's fun. And with the artwork as well, like you say, you go with the theme of like Transformers. We said earlier about like the Sumo Beats releases. You got like the robotic kind of artwork styles, always kind of bright coloured. And like I say, with the game inspirations and all the little roles that you add into the tunes, there is a playful element to your music, so it does come through, and I think it's just a good thing that.
I guess that goes back to the games, isn't it?
Yeah, like I say, it goes back to the games, and it kind of represents yourself in your music, which is what you're kind of looking for in music.
You were kind of surprised when I said I would.
Yeah, well, I just like it's like
He was gassed,
bro. I think like the thing
gassed.
is when
good.
you present a new platform, like I understand it's not like people don't believe in the product straight away. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it was.
That's
it
what
was,
I'm saying. For me,
cool.
it was about it being new.
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
not already
Yeah.
being
I feel like
rinsed.
that's like we've had like a good response in that sense, because it's like I'm just trying to be honest and like be honest with what we have and what we give, and I think that was like kind of the conversation we have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where we just kind of said, oh, what do you want to do? And you was like, oh, I want to do this, and we was like, oh, we can do it this way, and then suddenly we've come together and
made something mad.
we've made like a pack. Do you
And
know what I mean?
also, we talked about, because we talked about it quite a bit before we decided what was happening.
definitely.
And we talked about, like, well, you highlighted the great fact of how much gear I've got, which a lot of people haven't got. So it was like, well, it would be wicked to kind of incorporate the hardware into it so that people get access to that hardware's raw sound, if you will, that isn't coming from a soft synth. And it does sound different. I mean, guys, if you listen to the pack, you will hear warmth in there that you just will not get from a VST synth. No disrespect to any of the guys that are into their VST synths,
No,
but there's
of course.
something different in there that I feel when I made the pack, as another thing, I had to make it that I felt that if I was getting it, that it was going to be good enough. And
Yeah.
I've had so many sample packs over the years that have disappointed me from producers that you think, you know, not just drum and bass producers, but you see big names and you think, oh, this is going to be amazing, and it just isn't.
Yeah.
And I wanted my pack to be good enough that if I didn't make it, I would buy it.
And it comes through like kind of the message that you get throughout the whole pack is you want to give producers that might not have, be it the money or the access to this equipment, that they can still make top quality productions just by getting an extra hand from someone like yourself. And like I say, with people like both of you guys, you're put on a pedestal in the scene because you guys have worked your way through the ranks, and we do idolise you. I tell you, there's people out there that idolise you, like myself. Maybe not as much to you, but to him. But this is you.
I understand, man. I understand.
No, I'm not love. We're all love, guys. Like there's just so much that you guys are doing to the scene, and I think a lot of people don't understand how far a little seed goes for these young producers, because it takes time, man. It takes so much time, and stuff like this does not come around like a lot. Do you know what I mean? Especially the quality, and that's what we really wanted to highlight.
Yeah, I mean, going on that, actually, the quality was... The idea was that you could take the inspiration from, okay, this has come from a piece of kit that I've got no access to. I'm getting a vibe from it. I'm feeling I can make something with this. Let's go with it. There's a lot of sounds in there from the you know, the hardware extras to the pads to the keys. There's flavours in there that I felt if I heard, I would use. And there is right now actually stuff in there that I haven't used yet, but. You know, I'm not going to say I'm not going to use it, so you better use it first.
I think like with the pack as well. Like what's killer about it? Like what's the highlight of that? What's that one folder in there that you think is like people going to go, no, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's
We heard it
we were like, yeah, because when
We
we're going
heard
through
earlier.
it and we're like trying to cut some out just to like make
Well, yeah.
sure that it isn't just like 500 samples.
I would really struggle myself. I mean, I think the snares are great. I really tried with those because the amount of rubbish snares I've got from packs before that are supposed to be from professional producers, you know, I've just been very disappointed with. So I wanted to make sure that the initial hits of the kick and the snares were good. Also, I feel the bass has come from a variety of different sources. Some is soft synth, but some is hardware, and you won't know which unless you've got that trained ear.
I think. Sorry to cut you. Can you continue?
No,
Finish,
go on.
yeah?
What were you gonna say?
I'd say like, because I want to say my favourite part, because obviously we heard the pack earlier, and we were sat there, was choosing things, like we was making sure the numbering's right, was like adding stuff on there, taking stuff on there. But for me personally, obviously the drum. I think your drums they're wicked. They're so sick. But I love the gaming, the little gaming section that you've got in there.
Yeah,
And
I guess
that's
game
like true to
section.
you though.
and this is
like,
what I mean.
Oh, it wouldn't be a heist pack. Without
Yeah,
that kind
it
of-
really wouldn't. And it's the little parts. We've got the sample from Suckers. That sample, and that is gonna. Oh man, you guys, you don't understand. As soon as I heard that, I was just like,
Well, when we said about by the producer,
it's representing in the.
has to
there
be,
is
yeah.
sounds in there from tunes you will probably remember. Some you might have to dig a bit deep if you know maybe you didn't remember, but
yeah,
there's quite a bit of brand new material and sort of like classic.
It's old with the
heists.
new, and it's
Yeah.
definitely got your touch to it, like production wise as well.
Alright, guys, it's been a wicked day. We've been flat out from about 8-9 this morning.
Yeah, man.
It's been you guys, when you hear this stuff, it's gonna be amazing. You probably might have heard it by now, but we never know. On my left, we had Hedex from By The Producer, myself, TJ from By The Producer, and a special guest of today, Mr. Jim Heist. Give a round of applause. Thank you for having us.
I'm not going to shake your hand because
A
I've got the
pleasure.
sweatiest hands ever. Like,
right.
so bad.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wicked.
Anything you want to say?
Just get out there and get that
Get that
sample
pack,
pack,
man.
before your best friends are using it.
Yeah, true.
Exactly. So, guys, the debut Heist sample pack out exclusively on BuyTheProducer.com. It will be out on Friday, the 28th of June, 2019. We will see you later. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.
Cool.